Imagine for a moment walking into the sanctuary of ancient Israel, and you hear the distant echo of voices, some crying out in agony, others lifted up in joyous praise, the scent of incense that lingers in the air. Musicians tune their instruments, and worshipers kneel in reverence. And you're not just in a building here, you're in a moment, a sacred collision between heaven and earth. And that's what the Psalms are. They are more than just poems or songs, they're moments, raw, holy, unforgettable moments between people and God. And whether sung on the battlefield or whispered in the night, the Psalms, they invite us into a deeper, honest relationship with the Lord. So as you read, you're not just observing history here, you're stepping into worship. So get ready as we prepare to read the book of Psalms in the Bible in a Year plan. If you've been enjoying any of these videos so far, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel if you haven't got a chance, share this video with a friend as we journey through the Bible together this year. Now, as we go through the book of Psalms, I want to highlight each week 5 key aspects that are going to help us better understand this collection as a whole. So let's start with the first one here, and that's this, that Psalms is a collection, not a single book. In the original Hebrew, the book was titled Tehillim, which means praises. But Psalms isn't a single book written by a single person. It's a collection of 150 individual psalms, poems, songs that are compiled over centuries. Think of it like this, a spiritual anthology that tells the story of worship through every season of Israel's history. And this means that when we read the Psalms, we are reading a spiritual history of God's people, how they responded to things in joy or grief, victory, hope, confusion. It's not meant to be read like a novel, but like a hymnal of human emotion that's tied to faith. Now, number 2, multiple authors contributed here. David wrote at least 73 of these, but he wasn't alone. Other people like Asaph and the sons of Korah, Solomon, Moses, several anonymous writers even. And the variety brings a richness of diversity and perspective from the royal courts to the wilderness, from the temple steps to personal solitude. Now, each author brings this different background, this different experience that reminds us that God is not limited to one voice or one season. So whether you're leading a nation or whether you're struggling in obscurity, there's a psalm that speaks to your situation. Number 3, psalms were written for worship. These songs were not just private prayers. Many were for public gatherings, temple rituals, or national festivals even. They include instructions for instruments, choir leaders, and musical styles here. Psalms gave structure and language to Israel's worship life, and it shaped how they approach God in a community. So worship wasn't a side activity for Israel. It was very central, and the Psalms shaped their understanding of God. It reminded them of his character and his promises, and we can use them ourselves the same way to frame our own prayers and our own praise to God. Next, the Psalms contain prophetic messianic themes. Jesus is all over the Psalms here. Psalm 22 foreshadows his crucifixion. Psalm 110 speaks of his eternal priesthood. Even the royal and lament Psalms point ahead to the true and better King in Jesus. So the Psalms prepare the heart to recognize Jesus, not only as the Son of David, but as the fulfillment of God's covenant promises. In fact, here, reading the Psalms with Jesus in mind unlocks a very deep layer of meaning. They become not just cries for help here, but echoes of the gospel itself, this longing for redemption and pointing to the cross and anticipating our future King. And number 5 here, the Psalms are the most quoted Old Testament book by New Testament authors. In the Gospels, in Acts, in the letters by Paul, the Psalms are quoted or referenced more than any other book. And Jesus himself used Psalms during his ministry in the final moments on the cross. So these ancient songs, they became the spiritual vocabulary of the early church. Believe that. And they can shape ours too here. So if you want to speak with the language of faith that shaped Jesus and the apostles, the Psalms are a very good place to start because they teach us how to cry out, how to have hope, how to stand firm when words fall. Now, if you've been reading through the Psalms this year so far already, that's amazing, but don't hesitate to go back and reread them in light of what we're learning now. A new lens brings deeper meaning, and there's always more to discover in God's Word, that is for sure. Also, on my website, I have a resource that you can download that will help you to know who wrote each psalm and its connection to different parts of the Bible of when it was written. That link is in the description below. So take a moment this week, reflect. What psalm has stood out to you the most? Write that in the comments. Let's get some community happening here. And may the Lord bless you. May He enrich your life as you read through these psalms and become more than just prayers or cries out to God, but they deepen your reflection of who Jesus is and this book of the Bible as a whole.